Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while now, you know we routinely talk about self-defense laws here in the state of Washington. We talk about what we have the right to do versus what we should do, and we also talk about the consequences of when we make the wrong choices. Now, every state has some unique little aspects to its self-defense laws, and Washington is no different. So today I want to talk to you about a very important exception to Washington's self-defense laws. So let's spend a few minutes today talking about Washington's transgender exceptions to self-defense laws. Okay, before we get rolling, you guys know the drill. If you like this video, click the like button down below. If you want to stay up to date on issues related to your Second Amendment rights, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Click the little bell logo if you want to be notified when we post new videos. And most importantly, let's keep the comments and discussions coming. Now, on this issue, I recognize that this issue gets a lot of people on all sides of the fence very worked up. So let's keep our comments polite and professional on this topic. Now, at the onset, I'm going to start with a disclaimer here because I realize that we are wading into territory that gets a lot of people on both sides of this issue really, really worked up. And the purpose of this video is not to engage in the dialogue and discourse over transgender issues. There are enough people on YouTube doing that for both sides. And as I have stated all along here on Washington Gun Law TV, our role here is to tell you what the laws are. Our role is not to advocate for the creation of new laws. Our role is not to advocate for the abolition of any pre-existing laws. Our job here is to educate you as to what the law says so that all of us can operate within the confines. So I am making no social commentary on this issue whatsoever, but you, the lawful and responsible gun owner, you, the lawful and responsible citizen in Washington State, needs to be aware of our laws. All right, with that aside, we know, for those of us who've been watching the channel for a while now, that under RCW 9A.16.020 subsection 3, if we are encountered with unlawful force, we can use any necessary, reasonable, and proportional force to defend ourselves up to and including lethal force if we or somebody else in our presence is placed in imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. Now, there are some exceptions to Washington's self-defense laws. The first aggressor standard is one of them, and we've already done a video on that down below. We'll post the link for that. I want to talk to you about another very important exception, which is found in RCW 9A.16.025. That is a transgender exception to the use of force. Now, the language of that particular statute reads as follows. A person is not justified in using force against another based on the discovery of, knowledge about, or potential disclosure of the victim's actual or perceived gender, gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation, including under circumstances in which the victim made an unwanted, non-forcible romantic or sexual advance towards the defendant, or in which the defendant and victim dated or had a romantic or sexual relationship. And so what this statute is saying is that if you are involved in a romantic relationship, a sexual relationship with a person, and you later learn that they are the opposite gender of what you believed they were, as long as their advancements were non-forcible advancements, you have no right to use force in self-defense. Now, this law came into effect through Initiative 1678 and was signed into law in 2020 by Governor Inslee. It's known as the Nikki Kuhnhausen Act. Now, Miss Kuhnhausen was a transgender female who, when that was discovered by her then boyfriend, she was murdered. The passing of the legislation also did away with a common diminished capacity defense known as the LGBTQ plus panic defense. Defense attorneys prior to the enactment of this law could effectively argue that the discovery of your sexual or intimate partner being of the opposite sex that you believed him to be created such a sense of rage that it temporarily incapacitated the individual, thus not making them able to comprehend the severity of their actions. Essentially, a temporary insanity defense. With the passage of House Bill 1678, not only was a significant exception carved out of Washington's self-defense laws, but a significant exception was also carved out of Washington's diminished capacity laws. Diminished capacity is a defense that can be used in some cases where you basically say that there is temporary insanity based upon a traumatic or contemporaneous event. However, with the passage of Bill 1678, a new law was created, that being RCW 9A.08.040. That new diminished capacity law reads, a defendant does not suffer from diminished capacity based on the discovery of, knowledge about, or potential disclosure of the victim's actual or perceived gender, gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation, including under circumstances in which the victim made an unwanted, non-forcible romantic or sexual advance towards the defendant, or in which the defendant and victim dated or had a romantic or sexual relationship. So under House Bill 1678 and under RCW 9A.16.025, the discovery that your intimate partner is of another gender is not grounds to use force against them unless they are making forcible sexual advancements towards you. Absent that, no matter how angry, no matter how freaked out you might be, no matter how disappointed you might be, no matter how enraged you may be, the use of force against them is not permitted under Washington law. Now listen, I'm sure some of you are going to have comments about this, and we have to respect where everyone is coming from on this issue. I do ask you to keep the comments clean, polite, and professional. Listen, you may have more questions about this issue or anything related to your self-defense rights, and if you do, don't ever hesitate to contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now let's all remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.